defenses. They are not evidence. Each side will address you once during opening statements, and the state gets to go first. So, Mr. Barnett, you are up.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, fellow counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This case is about a defendant who brought a gun to a fist fight and finished that fight by shooting the father of her child with one shot, one kill. The evidence in this case will show that on May 3rd, 2021, that Carroll County Sheriff's deputies and the Sheriff's Department received a 911 call from 6344 Arbor Road in Mechanicstown. And that 911 call was the defendant who said she shot her husband. The evidence will show that deputies responded and found her father of her child, not necessarily her husband, but the father of her child deceased in the front yard of that residence. You will hear from the deputies who took the 911 call. You'll hear from the deputies who responded to the scene. And you'll hear the investigators who ended up talking with the defendant, who told them that she shot the father of her child. This case is not a whodunit, okay? Identity is not an issue. You will hear testimony as to how the shooting occurred, and you will hear evidence that the defendant and the father of her child didn't have a healthy, normal relationship. Okay? We believe that you will hear evidence that there was a fight, and that they got into an argument, and that the defendant was assaulted. The evidence will show you that after that fight was over, though, that the decedent, Matthew Mott, left a bedroom where this fight started and was shot at the end of the hallway in the home. Okay? And you will see that, and you will hear testimony from the defendant, from her own words, which she told investigators, that she retrieved an AR-15 rifle from under the bed in the bedroom where they had fought, went to the closet in that same bedroom, retrieved the magazine, loaded that weapon, racked around into it, and then left that bedroom where Matthew Mott was at the end of the hallway, and that was when he was shot. And that Matthew Mott then ended out into the front yard where he was later found. Okay? You'll see where the shell casings were found, and you'll see that the fight at that point in time was over when she shot him. Now, you may not like Matt Mott. You may hear things that make you not like him. But when people live together, they may have unhealthy relationships. They may not be able to live with each other, and they may not be able to live without each other. But at the end of the day, an unarmed man was shot. Okay? Their fight was over. There was no reason to pull that trigger. So that toxic relationship may cause issues for you in that relationship. But ladies and gentlemen, it's no justification to shoot somebody. Now, whether you like or dislike someone is not how you're going to be instructed to decide this case. The law protects everyone from pirates to presidents. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you have before you 2 counts of an indictment that you were going to ask to consider. Okay, and the first count is the murder. Okay, and the judge is going to instruct you at the end of this case that murder is the purposeful killing of another. Okay, and so we believe the evidence in this case will clearly show that the defendant picked up a rifle, she loaded it, she pointed it, and she fired it. Again, not the whodunit case. Okay. You will also be asked to consider specifications to the indictment, and that is, specification is just an additional fact that has to be proven. And so the indictment contains a specification regarding a firearm. Obviously, we believe the evidence will clearly show that the AR-15 rifle used in this case was a firearm. Okay? You also are being asked to consider a second count of felonious assault. Okay? And felonious assault, as the judge will instruct you, is the knowingly causing of physical harm by means of a deadly weapon. And ladies and gentlemen, that's in the causing or attempting to cause physical harm in firing the weapon at another person. And so sometimes the law calls those lesser included offenses, not something that you will be instructed on at the appropriate time to consider. But they are separate counts for you to consider, so as you hear the evidence, you're going to hear evidence as to both of those counts. What this case is about is self-defense. Okay? And the judge is going to give you specific instructions at the end of this case about self-defense and what that means. And what we believe the evidence will show that someone who shoots an unarmed person, that's an unreasonable use of that force. And that's what we're going to ask you at the conclusion of this case, when you hear all the evidence, to return a guilty verdict of guilty, because it wasn't justified in these circumstances, because that fight was in fact over. We want you to use your common sense. We want you to follow the rules and follow the law. And we believe, again, that it's not the whodunit, but it's that the defendant was not justified whatsoever when those rules are applied. That Audrey Cole on May 3rd grabbed an AR-15 rifle from under that bed. She went to the closet. She fetched a magazine. She loaded that magazine, raised that rifle, shot Matt Mott after their fight was over, when he was some 10 feet or more away from her. That Matt wasn't on top of her. They weren't fighting at that time when he was shot. And at the close of that evidence, we believe you will be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Audrey Cole finished that fight with Matt Mott, and that she's guilty of murder and felonious assault, and that she did in fact use a firearm to commit those offenses. Thank you.
Defense counsel.